Hey guys, welcome to Bastian time. I'm your host Bastian. Let's get on to some Nintendo news. First up, there wasn't a whole lot of Nintendo news this week, but the biggest piece of news was a Nintendo Direct specifically for Monster Hunter 4. Nintendo has been doing these Nintendo Directs lately about very specific games, and I think it's a pretty good idea. They did one about the Wonderful 101, where we learned a whole bunch of new information. They did one about Pokemon XY, and we learned about the bundle, the 3DS bundles from that. Now, for this game, we learned all kinds of interesting things. Specifically, for you Mario and Zelda fans out there, you'll be able to wear costumes. You'll be able to wear a Link costume, and you'll be able to use various Link-type weapons. And then you'll be able to dress your cats up as Mario and Luigi. It's pretty amusing watching this bizarre trailer of... there are two different trailers, one of Mario and Luigi cats, using hammers to hit enemies, going all the way back to the early Mario Bros. And then some pretty awesome looking, it looks basically identical to Link. Now, I played Monster Hunter, it's the one for the Wii, and I wasn't a huge fan, to be honest with you, so I'm probably not going to give this one a shot, but maybe if people keep saying that it's really, really good, I'll give the series another shot. But anyways, let's get on to the next story. Ever since the announcement of the 2DS, there have been a lot of amusing videos coming out spoofing the 2DS, because, I mean, to be perfectly honest, when I first heard about the 2DS, I thought it was an April Fool's joke. I was looking at my calendar and thinking, we're not in April, so what the heck is this? 3D down to 2D just seems like it's a joke, right? But now we've got the Nintendo 1DS. It's a pretty amusing video if you're into that kind of thing and are not easily offended by people making fun or taking jabs at Nintendo. There's a link for you down below. Our next story is about the indie game, The Binding of Isaac. Now, if you're not familiar with this game, it is a very unusual game. It sort of takes the biblical story of Isaac, and it's very, very loosely based on that. It's practically not based on it at all. But it's about a mother who... It's very dark. It's about a mother who tries to kill her kid and puts him in a basement, and then the basement is a series of Legend of Zelda, the first one, Zelda 1 style dungeons. It almost looks like a ripoff of the original Legend of Zelda once you're down in those dungeons, but actually the gameplay is quite a bit different. But what's interesting is they have been wanting to get it onto Nintendo platforms, the 3DS or the Wii U, and Nintendo says no thanks. They say no thanks not because it seems like a ripoff of the original Legend of Zelda, but because of the religious themes, and I guess even in this day and age, Nintendo is still concerned about those kinds of things. Now, you might know or might not know that all the way back in the 8-bit and 16-bit era, Nintendo was so concerned with religious themes not being in games on their platforms that when there were things like in Final Fantasy, the spell holy, they had to change that when it was translated over here into white, or anytime you mentioned like a cross or something, they would just call that a pendant, or, you know, they didn't want to have any sort of religious words or iconography. They would even change the graphics, have the developers change graphics in some instances. So it's weird that they're still so concerned about that. I think basically what they're worried about is that this game does sort of poke fun at that biblical story a little bit, so maybe it's not that it has anything religious in it, but that it's poking fun at a specific religion, maybe? I don't know. But Nintendo did acknowledge this in an interview. Somebody said, you know, hey, why aren't you localized? Why aren't you allowing this game to be published on your platforms? And they said, yeah, it is one of our policies. Maybe it's an outdated policy. Maybe we need to change it. Maybe that's something that we need to talk about. So at least they're aware that this policy is kind of absurd, and hopefully they will overcome it, and maybe we will get Binding of Isaac on a Nintendo platform, because I've watched a friend play it, my friend Cody, and it was pretty awesome. So I'd like to play it, but I kind of only have Nintendo platforms at this point, so it's going to have to be a Nintendo platform, Nintendo. Anyways, that's it for this episode of Nintendo News. See you guys tomorrow for some Zelda news. Bye, guys.